Assalamualaikum everyone. So today, me and my fellow friends from group EDU Seekers will present a case study titled Strategies to Improve Such Stress Tolerance in Rice Plants. So before we go further, let me introduce you to with my teammates, which is Kuzaimah binti Amir Zaki, Nur Arisa Husna binti Muhammad Yusri, Anis Shakirah binti Azhari, and Nur Maisarah binti Hassan. So for the introduction, according to Shasta, the specific name for rice is Ariza sativa L. Rice is one of the important source of food, and the production of rice can reach 510.6 million tons worldwide. So the objective for this case study is to identify the strategies to improve stress tolerance in rice plants and to identify the effect of the strategies toward the rice plants.
One of the strategies to improve heat tolerance in rice plants is crop management. It is the set of agricultural practices performed to improve the growth, development, and yield of crops. It begins with a seedbed preparation of sowing of seeds and crop maintenance and ends with crop harvest, storage, and marketing. Why is crop management important? It is important because the productivity of crop management practices is increased and it contributes to greater yields with improved quality. As you know, rice plants is one of the most important crops in the world and it is the foremost staple food in Asia, providing 35 to 60% of dietary calories consumed by almost 3 billion people. Now, by the year 2025, it is necessary to produce about 60% more of rice than it is currently being produced to meet the food needs of a growing uh, world population. So, according to the International Food Policy Research Institute, the climate change could impact paddy productivity throughout Asia and the Pacific. So this figure shows most of the stations within the granary areas. As you can see the yellow color in this figure, it shows that most of these granary areas in Peninsular Malaysia also exhibit an increasing trend in maximum temperature where except Kota Baru. But according to a research by Welsh in 2010, it found out that maximum temperature could decrease the yields if it was close to the upper threshold limit. Another research by Shastra in 2016 implied that an increase in minimum temperature would reduce the grain filling period during the flowering stage, which eventually will cause a drop in yield. Now, one of the solutions to overcome heat tolerance in rice plants is by irrigation, where irrigation is a process of applying water to the crops artificially to fulfill their water requirements and also adding an additional amount of nutrients to the rice plants according to its requirements, which irrigation is one of the critical factors for crop production that influences the final crop yields and quality, especially in our dry land region. Another method to for heat tolerance in rice plants is by early morning flowering, where it is an effective method in retaining grain yield due to the mitigation of heat-induced picolet sterility at flowering in rice plants. So that's all for me for crop management. Thank you.
Okay, in my part, I will explain about induction of acclimation by using growth regulator, protectants, or chemical. Okay, firstly, we need to know what is acclimation. One big problem in studying ecology is that environments rarely, if ever, stay the same. Temperature, precipitation, and food sources are always changing. One way that living thing can handle these changes is through a process called acclimation. This change can occur over a few days, several weeks, or even months. Okay, from my research and Marian, July 2012, I found how to induce acclimation using growth regulator to improve on rice. Growth regulator applied to plant by human Plant growth regulator are chemical used to modify plant growth. Okay, I will show you and explain to you there are 5 groups of plant growth regulating compound that use. Okay, for the most part, each group contain both naturally occurring hormones and synthetic substance. Okay, the first chemical which is housing. These are growth promoting substance that contribute to the elongation of shoot. Housing was observed to accumulate in dry stellar buds and the stem base. Previous studies have shown that housing-related genes or gene family are key playing in tailoring and in controlling plant architecture in rice. Auxin also is the active ingredient in most routine compounds in which cuttings are dipped during vegetative propagation. Okay, next is gibberellins or the phytohormone gibberellic acid GA stimulates cell division and elongation, breeds seed dormancy and speed germination. It has essential signaling function in multiple processes during plant development. Okay, the third is cytokinin, which is unlike other hormones. Cytokines are found in both plant and animals. They are stimulate cell division and often are included in the sterile media used for growing plants from tissue culture. Cytokines also used to delay aging and death. Okay, next is ethylene. It's a unique in that it is found only in the gas form. It induces ripening, causes leaf to drop, and promotes senescence. Plants often increase ethylene production in response to stress. Okay, in rice, ethylene regulates a wide variety of major agronomic traits. Okay, last but not least, FCC acid, which is ABA, is a general plant growth inhibitor. It induces dormancy and prevents seed from germinating. Okay, causes abscission of leaf, fruit, and flower, and causes stomata to close. Application of proper ABA can improve acid tolerance of rice roots by balancing endogenous hormones and promoting nutrient uptake. Okay, so that's all my part. Thank you.
Hi, Assalamualaikum. My name is Anshakira binti Azhari. So, I will continue my part is breeding approaches by identification and selection of heat-tolerant genotypes method. So here we have two types of breeding approaches by identification and selections of heat-tolerant genotype methods. Okay, so first is higher productions of heat short protein. So I will give you a bit introduction of higher production of heat shock protein. So, higher productions of heat shock protein is the greater heat of tolerance of N22 could be due to the accumulations of stress responsive cool SCSP and heat as HSP shock protein in the others. Okay, so the function of higher production of heat shock protein is reservoir of intermediates of denature protein, preventing protein aggregation due to heat. Okay, so the effect of higher production of heat shock protein is first increase accumulations of SHSPS, and second is reflected in the higher specular fertility of N22 under heat stress. So all the information here I got from Jagadice NVK 2009. Second method is higher carbohydrate availability and photosynthetic rate. So a bit introduction is one approaches of achieve high thermal tolerance in screen out of genotypes. So the functions of higher carbohydrate availability or photosynthetic rate is first maintain the higher non-structural carbohydrate for higher biomass, and second function to stabilize photosynthesis under higher temperature. So the effect is prevention of the photosynthetic rate, and second is to maintain the normal growth. So the example of higher carbohydrate availability and photosynthetic rate is RI20, RI53, RI46, and N22. Okay, so all the information here at this slide I got from Khan S 2019.
Next, the genetic manipulation for heat tolerance, which is transgenic rice. So what is transgenic rice? Transgenic rice is a method that modified genetic using recombinant DNA. This method will show or express the plant to a different genes which is not the local gene of the plant, or it's also modified indigenous genes. According to Zoe, this method is a successful strategy to improve traits in plant, according to including tolerance to biotic and abiotic stresses in a number of crops. So how transgenic method works? First, ATHSP101 proteins will be overexpressed, and it will generate a line that known as a heat tolerance line. By silencing HSP101's protein, it will cause loss of thermotolerance in plants that already developed. But if you're overexpressing HSP101 proteins, it will improve high temperature tolerance in the plants. So the effect of this transgenic method give to plant is the plants will recover from heat stress from 45 to 50 degrees Celsius, and the plants will also show a healthy growth at 28 degrees Celsius during the recovery phase. So here is the list of the transgenic rice with increase of heat tolerance.
In conclusion of this study case, we have four strategy or four method to improve stress tolerance in rice plant. So first is crop management practice of heat stress avoidance. Second is inductions of acclimations by using growth regulator, protectants, and chemical. Third is breeding approaches by identification and selections of heat-tolerant genotypes. And the last one is genetic manipulation for heat-tolerant transgenic rice. The productivity of this rice will produce better quantity, and the types of the rice plant product is more heat tolerant than that produced in the previous year. So our opinion, we hope that the production of this future rice plant will be better and be able to accumulate this growing human population. These are the references used in our study case. It can be concluded that these are the strategies to improve the heat tolerance in the rice plant. So that's all from us. Thank you.